Hey there, ready to dive into something really mind-bending? We're going to be exploring the world of energy manipulation
Oh, wow.
based on this YouTube video.
Okay.
It's called Energy Manipulation is Real. Use this before it gets erased. They put in parentheses, no BS guide.
Okay. Right off the bat, it argues that reality, isn't this fixed thing?
Right.
And they use quantum physics to back that up.
Yeah, they bring up that double slit experiment,
Yeah.
which I always think is so wild.
Yeah.
Where it's like those tiny particles, they act like waves until you try to observe them, and they're like, oh, okay, now I'm a particle.
Exactly. It's like that classic experiment that demonstrates that observer effect.
Okay, so if we apply that to our own lives, not just cats and boxes,
Right.
what's the takeaway there?
Well, they suggest that every possible version of your life already exists out there somewhere.
Wow.
And by, focusing your attention on a specific outcome, you might make it more likely to show up.
Okay, so that's a pretty big if.
Yeah.
But even if we, entertain that idea for a second, how do our thoughts actually fit into all of this?
Right.
The video makes it seem like they're not just, these fleeting things that are just happening in our minds.
They go as far as to say that, thoughts are actually energy waves that are, impacting the world around us. And they even bring up some scientific findings about how the brain potentially acts like a quantum computer.
Oh, wow.
With these tiny structures called microtubules in our neurons that could be processing energy.
Interesting.
And of course, thoughts do have measurable electromagnetic frequencies.
So if we're constantly emitting these, thought waves,
Right.
it kind of suggests we're already shaping reality, whether we're aware of it or not.
That's exactly their point, yeah.
Wow.
And they argue that most people are doing this unconsciously.
Okay.
Often dwelling on negative thoughts, limitations,
Right.
which then unfortunately reinforces those patterns.
This is where things start to get really interesting, because
Yeah.
the video stresses that simply thinking about what you want isn't enough to make it happen.
Right.
You actually need to feel it as if it's already true.
This is where they bring in that concept of vibrational frequency.
Okay.
So, imagine you're yearning for abundance, but, you're still feeling this sense of lack. You're sending out conflicting frequencies there.
Right. Mixed messages.
Yeah, it's like trying to tune into two radio stations at the same time.
Yeah.
You just get static.
Yeah.
Instead of that clear signal.
So, okay, I can see how that would create mixed messages for the universe.
Exactly.
And the video actually gives some concrete examples too, if you're trying to manifest wealth, but you're constantly worrying about your bills, you're kind of reinforcing that energy of lack, even if you intellectually desire abundance.
It's about aligning those thoughts and emotions with what you're actually trying to bring into your reality.
Okay, and that's where the heart becomes a major player.
Right.
According to the video.
They claim that the heart's electromagnetic field is...
Yeah, they say it's 5,000 times stronger than the brain's.
Huge. Yeah.
So emotions are even more powerful than thoughts.
They're making a bold claim there.
Right.
But there is some scientific research that hints at that being true. The HeartMath Institute has done a ton of work on something called heart-brain coherence.
Okay.
And they're suggesting that, when our emotions and thoughts are in alignment, the heart's electromagnetic field actually expands.
Wow.
Which could potentially make those manifestations stronger.
Okay, so it's not just about, positive thinking then. It's about cultivating genuine positive feelings.
Absolutely.
Okay, that adds a whole other layer to this.
Yeah.
The video even gives a simple technique to tap into this. They say, put your hand over your heart and focus on those feelings of gratitude or love.
Yeah, to kind of activate that state.
Right, that heart-brain coherence.
Exactly.
But then the video dives into some seriously mind-bending territory.
Yeah, here you go.
Quantum entanglement.
Oh, yes.
The idea that, two energy fields can be linked or entangled, even when they're, super far apart.
Yeah, separated by vast distances.
They use this to explain things like, when you're thinking of someone right before they call you, or you walk into a room, you're like, ooh, I can feel the energy in here.
Yeah, sensing that energy.
So we're essentially transmitting and receiving energy, all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Influencing each other, whether we realize it or not.
That's the picture they paint, yeah.
That's pretty wild.
It is.
It also kind of raises that question of
right.
how well we actually managing our own energy.
Mm.
Because if we're not paying attention, we could be sending out signals
right.
that are attracting experiences we don't even want.
Definitely.
This is starting to feel like we're all living in this like giant interconnected web of energy.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fascinating and a little overwhelming.
It's definitely a challenge.
Okay, so I'm with you so far.
Okay.
But how do we actually reprogram our minds, like practically,
right,
to focus on the positive and actually attract what we want,
right,
especially when like those negative thoughts and limiting beliefs
right, they creep in.
keep popping up?
They do, yeah. And they bring up the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza here.
Okay.
Who has shown that, thoughts can actually physically rewire the brain.
Oh, wow.
It's the concept of neuroplasticity.
Okay.
So by repeatedly focusing on a desired reality, even if it feels kind of far-fetched at first,
right,
we might be able to actually change those neural pathways.
Interesting.
And create new patterns of thought.
So it's like replacing a well-worn path in the woods with a brand new one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the more you walk that new path, the more defined it becomes.
Right, like that, yeah.
And they're saying, like, you almost have to become obsessed with that reality that you want.
Okay.
While simultaneously letting go of, like, the attachment to the current limitations that you're experiencing.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about those, like, really deep-seated beliefs that we've carried with us for years?
Yeah, the ones that are ingrained.
Maybe even from childhood.
Yeah.
The ones that are like, you're not good enough, or
yeah,
you can't achieve your dreams.
You'll never be successful.
Those, that's where they bring in this concept of the vibrational set point.
Okay.
Which is essentially like the default energy state that a person lives in.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, that set point is rooted in our subconscious mind.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
And they bring in the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton here.
Okay.
Who argues that, like, our subconscious beliefs hold incredible power in shaping our reality.
Right.
So our vibrational set point,
okay,
it might be dictating what we're attracting into our lives.
So if it's low,
right,
we might attract more like negativity and lack. If it's high, we might attract more abundance and joy. And the good stuff.
So the big question is, like, how do we shift that set point?
Right, because it sounds pretty deeply ingrained.
It does, yeah.
And they suggest a powerful visualization technique.
Okay.
It's kind of like, imagine your highest self.
The version of you who already embodies all those qualities that you desire.
Okay.
And to, like, step into their shoes.
Yeah.
Feel their energy.
And hold that vision, like, as vividly as possible.
So it's kind of like acting as if until it becomes your reality.
You could say that, yeah.
And by embodying the energy of that highest self, we might be able to actually shift that vibrational set point.
That's the idea.
And attract experiences that align with that higher frequency.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
This all sounds incredibly empowering.
It is.
But I'm curious about, like, the practical side of things.
Okay.
Does the video offer any, like, concrete advice on how to actually control energy?
It does. It transitions into this more practical section where they explore techniques for increasing energy levels and directing energy flow.
Okay.
They even mention ancient Chinese practices like Qigong.
Oh, wow.
Which recognized the body's energy system and developed all these methods for working with it.
So it's not just, like, abstract concepts.
Right.
There are actually tangible things we can do to start working with our energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of, like, the examples of those techniques?
Well, they highlight deep breathing, muscle relaxation, managing emotional energy.
Okay.
And they even mention things like sensing and directing energy between your hands.
Okay. Which
could be a way to actually start, like, feeling energy more directly.
So it's not just about abstract concepts. There are tangible things we can do to start working with our energy.
Absolutely.
I'm curious about the connection between physical and mental energy, though.
Okay.
Because the video kind of implies that they're, like, intertwined.
Yeah, that's a key point that they make. They argue that physical and mental energy are interconnected. So, like, when our physical energy is high, we tend to have better mental clarity and focus.
Right.
And when our minds are calm and centered, our physical energy flows more smoothly.
So it's like a positive feedback loop.
Exactly.
Like taking care of our physical health supports our mental energy and vice versa.
Exactly. And they emphasize the importance of things like exercise, sleep, and mindful practices like meditation for optimizing both those physical and mental energy levels.
This is all making me think about the times I've felt the most like energized and alive.
Yeah.
It's usually when I'm like engaged in something I love or moving my body or connecting with nature.
And those are all excellent ways to increase and direct your energy.
Yeah.
It's about paying attention to what makes you feel vibrant and alive and incorporating those things into your life.
It sounds like the video is suggesting that energy control is like a journey, not a destination.
It is, absolutely.
It's about developing a deeper awareness of our energy and experimenting with different techniques to see what works best for us.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's like ongoing exploration and self-discovery. And as we become more attuned to our energy, we gain a greater sense of like empowerment and agency in shaping our reality.
This is mind-blowing stuff, but I have to ask, does the video go into any like advanced energy manipulation techniques?
They do. They touch on them briefly, but they caution that those techniques require a deeper understanding of energy principles and consistent practice. So they mention things like sensing and directing energy between your hands, clearing stagnant energy from spaces, visualizing energy shields for protection.
Oh, wow.
And even directing healing energy.
Okay, so there's like a whole world of possibilities beyond just the basics.
There is, yeah.
But it sounds like we need to build that solid foundation first.
Yeah, for sure. And even those basic techniques can have really profound effects on your energy in your life.
This is definitely a lot to process. But it's exciting to think about like the potential we might have.
It is.
To shape our reality.
For sure.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
Awesome. Welcome back. We're diving even deeper into this world of energy manipulation. And in this segment, we're going to explore some of the actual scientific principles that either support or like at least try to explain some of the ideas in the video.
You know, when the video started talking about quantum physics and energy fields and stuff, I have to admit, a part of me was like, is this legit? Or are we just getting into like pseudoscience territory?
Yeah, that's a really valid question. And it's healthy to be skeptical, especially when you're encountering like extraordinary claims. But what's interesting is that some of these concepts, while they might seem like out there, do actually have connections to like established scientific principles.
So let's break it down. Like, what are some of the scientific ideas that actually seem to like resonate with this whole concept of energy manipulation?
Well, one of the fundamental principles is that everything in the universe is made of energy. And that's not just like a new age concept. That's like a cornerstone of physics. Even seemingly solid objects, you know, they're composed of vibrating atoms, which are essentially like bundles of energy.
Okay, so we're all just like energy vibrating at different frequencies.
In essence, yeah.
It's a pretty wild thought.
It is.
And this energy is like constantly interacting and exchanging.
Right. Our bodies, for example, generate electromagnetic fields.
Right. And the video was talking about the heart's electromagnetic field being like particularly powerful.
Exactly. And research by the HeartMath Institute, you know, actually suggests that our emotional states directly impact the coherence of that field.
Oh, wow.
So positive emotions like love and gratitude, they seem to create more ordered, like harmonious patterns.
Interesting.
While negative emotions like stress and anger, they kind of create more chaotic patterns.
So our emotions aren't just like these internal feelings that we're having. They have a measurable effect on the energy around us.
That's what the research indicates.
Wow.
And this ties into the idea that we might be able to like consciously influence those energy fields through things like, you know, deep breathing, meditation, or even simply like cultivating more positive emotions.
The video also mentioned quantum entanglement.
Oh, yeah.
Which was like a pretty mind-bending concept.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Can you shed a little more light on that for us?
So quantum entanglement is this phenomenon where two particles become linked, even when they're separated by vast distances. So what happens to one particle instantaneously affects the other.
Wow.
Almost as if they're communicating like faster than the speed of light.
Okay.
It's a really tough concept to wrap your head around, even for physicists.
Yeah, it's definitely mind-boggling.
But the video uses this idea of entanglement to suggest that we might all be interconnected through this like invisible web of energy.
Interesting.
So our thoughts, emotions, and intentions could actually be influencing other people.
Wow.
Even across great distances.
Now we're getting into some territory that really pushes the boundaries of, like, conventional thinking.
It does.
It makes you wonder about the true extent of, like, human connection and influence.
It does. It raises a lot of questions about, like, what's truly possible.
Right.
You know, are we more interconnected than we realize? Can our thoughts and intentions actually have an impact on others from afar?
Right.
Those are, like, really intriguing areas for further, like, exploration and research.
Are there any other scientific principles that might lend some support to this idea of, like, energy manipulation?
Well, they also go into the observer effect in quantum mechanics, which is the idea that, like, the act of observing a system actually influences its behavior.
Yeah, they bring up that double slit experiment.
Exactly, which shows, like, particles act like waves until they're observed, and then suddenly they're like, oh, okay, now I'm a particle.
Right, like they decide how to act based on whether or not they're being watched, which is so weird.
It's really strange. And some scientists have even proposed that consciousness itself might actually play a role in collapsing the wave function.
Interesting.
Essentially determining which possibility becomes reality.
So, like, could it be that our thoughts and intentions are literally shaping the world around us at a quantum level?
It's a radical concept.
It is.
But it's one that's still being debated and explored within the scientific community.
Okay, this is all, like, so mind-blowing. But let's bring things back down to earth a bit.
Okay.
The video also talked about, like, some practical techniques for controlling energy.
Right.
Can you walk us through some of those?
Of course. So one of the most fundamental ones they emphasize is deep conscious breathing.
Okay.
They suggest that our breath is this direct link to our energy system.
Okay.
So by slowing down and deepening our breathing, we can calm the nervous system, increase oxygen flow, and just cultivate a sense of presence and awareness.
It's remarkable how, like, such a simple act like breathing can have such a profound impact on our state of being.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
They also talk about the importance of being mindful of our posture.
Okay.
So, like, slouching or hunching over, that can constrict energy flow.
Yeah.
But standing or sitting upright with an open chest, that can allow energy to move more freely.
I can definitely relate to that. Like, when I think back to times when I've felt really energized, I was usually standing tall, breathing deeply, feeling that sense of openness.
Exactly. It's about creating that, like, physical and energetic alignment that supports that free flow of energy.
They also highlight the importance of managing our emotional energy.
Yes, absolutely.
So, like, negative emotions, anger, fear, worry.
Yeah, they can deplete our energy.
Right, whereas positive emotions, joy, gratitude, love.
Yeah, they can boost it. So it's not just about thinking positive thoughts, it's about actively cultivating positive feelings as well.
I'm starting to see how all of this, like, ties together.
It does, and there are a lot of practices that can help us with this, like meditation, mindfulness, gratitude practices, spending time in nature.
What about that technique of, like, sensing and directing energy between your hands?
Oh, yeah.
That one really caught my attention.
That's a really cool one. That's a common exercise in a lot of, like, energy healing modalities.
Okay.
So you start by holding your hands, like, a few inches apart, palms facing each other.
Okay.
And then you focus your attention on the space between your hands. And you just notice any sensations that you feel.
So you might feel, like, warmth, tingling, pressure, or even like a magnetic pull.
Exactly.
And the idea is you're actually sensing your own energy field.
That's the premise, yeah.
That's incredible.
And with practice, some people believe that you can actually learn to manipulate that energy.
Wow.
Make it stronger, weaker, move it around.
Okay. Or even direct it towards a specific purpose.
This is starting to feel like something out of a superhero movie.
It is kind of, yeah.
But it's exciting to consider, like, the potential that we might have to work with energy.
Yeah.
In such, like, tangible ways.
Absolutely. It underscores the idea that energy isn't just this abstract concept.
Right.
It's a real dynamic force that we can learn to interact with.
This has been a really, like, enlightening exploration so far.
Good.
It's really making me, like, rethink my understanding of reality and our place within it.
I think that's a good thing.
So we've covered some of the scientific principles, some practical techniques, but the video goes even further.
It does, yeah.
Suggesting, like, more advanced applications that almost seem like science fiction.
Almost.
So that's what we're going to explore when we come back for the final part of our deep dive.
Yeah, we're going to delve into, like, the realm where science and what some might consider paranormal kind of intersect.
Right. We're going to examine the evidence, the possibilities, and the potential for, like, human energy.
Okay.
To shape reality in some really extraordinary ways.
Welcome back to our deep dive into energy manipulation. We've explored the quantum physics behind it, discussed those practical techniques for working with energy, and now we're stepping into the realm of what might seem like straight-up science fiction.
That's right. We're going to explore some of those more advanced applications that the video hints at, the possibilities that really push the boundaries of, like, conventional thinking.
Yeah, energy healing, energy shields, influencing the physical world. Like, it all sounds incredibly powerful, but also a bit far-fetched. Is there any evidence to suggest that these things are even possible?
That's where things get really interesting, and where the line between, like, science and what some might consider paranormal starts to blur.
Okay.
Mainstream science is still, like, catching up in a lot of these areas. But there is a growing body of research and, like, anecdotal evidence that suggests we might be capable of a lot more than we realize when it comes to energy manipulation.
Let's start with energy healing. The video kind of mentions it, but doesn't really go into detail. What exactly is energy healing? And is there any scientific basis for it?
So energy healing, it encompasses a wide range of practices that involve, like, channeling energy into a person's body to promote healing and well-being.
Okay.
Things like Reiki, Qigong healing, therapeutic touch, those are a few examples.
Okay.
And while the mechanisms aren't fully understood by science, a lot of proponents believe that these practices work by, like, balancing and harmonizing the body's energy field, which can then stimulate the body's own natural healing processes.
So it's not about, like, directly curing diseases, but more about supporting the body's innate ability to heal itself.
That's the general idea. And while some people might be skeptical, there have actually been studies that suggest energy healing can have measurable effects.
Really?
Yeah, some research has shown that Reiki, for instance, can actually reduce pain, anxiety, and fatigue in patients with, like, chronic conditions.
That's pretty intriguing. Yeah. Definitely, like, warrants further investigation.
Absolutely. And energy healing is just one aspect of, like, advanced energy manipulation.
Yeah.
The video also brings up the concept of energy shields.
Right, like an invisible force field. Protecting you from negative energy.
Exactly. Is
that even a real thing?
Well, the idea is that we can use our own energy to create a protective barrier around ourselves.
Okay.
Some people visualize it as a bubble of light, others as, like, a wall of energy.
Okay.
The belief is that this shield can help deflect negativity, whether it's coming from other people, stressful environments, or even, like, psychic attacks.
Okay, now we're getting into some pretty esoteric territory.
Yeah, a little bit.
But even if we, like, entertain the possibility for a second, how do you actually create an energy shield? Is it just a matter of, like, visualization?
Visualization is definitely a key component, but it's also about cultivating a really strong sense of intention and focusing your energy in a very specific way. Some techniques involve, like, imagining drawing energy up from the earth and then circulating it around your body to create that protective sphere.
So it's like building an energetic fortress around yourself.
Kind of, yeah.
Is there any scientific evidence to support this idea of energy shields? Or is it purely based on, like, anecdotal reports?
That's a great question. And while there's no scientific proof that energy shields exist in the way they're often described, a lot of people who practice these techniques do report feeling a sense of protection and increased resilience in challenging situations.
Right.
So whether that's a result of an actual energy barrier or simply a shift in their mindset and perception, that's still up for debate.
It's fascinating to consider, like, the interplay between our beliefs, our energy, and our experiences.
Yeah, definitely.
The video goes even further, though, suggesting that we might be able to actually influence the physical world around us with our energy. Is that even remotely possible?
So that's where we enter the realm of what's often called psychokinesis or telekinesis, the ability to move objects with the mind.
Right, like very sci-fi.
Yeah, it's a popular theme in, like, fiction and movies, but there have actually been some intriguing experiments that hint at the possibility that it might not be totally impossible.
What kind of experiments?
Well, back in the 1970s, a researcher named Helmut Schmidt conducted a series of experiments using random number generators. And he found that some people actually seem to be able to influence the output of these machines with their minds.
Wow.
producing results that like defied statistical probability.
So they were basically using their thoughts to influence the outcome of a random event.
Yeah, that was the idea. And while these experiments were controversial and not widely accepted by the scientific community, they did raise some really interesting questions about the potential of human consciousness to interact with the physical world in ways we don't fully understand yet.
This is all so mind-boggling. Like, the more we delve into this world of energy, the more we realize how much we don't know. This deep dive has definitely sparked a lot of curiosity in me.
Yeah.
What are your final thoughts on all of this?
It's definitely a journey that challenges our assumptions about reality.
Yeah.
And what's possible. I think it's important to approach these advanced concepts with a blend of, like, open-mindedness and critical thinking. While it's tempting to get swept up in the possibilities, it's also really important to, like, discern between genuine experiences and just wishful thinking.
Right.
The scientific evidence in a lot of these areas is still pretty limited.
Right.
But that doesn't mean we should just dismiss the potential. Further research and exploration are definitely needed.
I agree. It's that delicate balance between being open to new possibilities and maintaining a healthy sense of skepticism.
Absolutely.
But even if we don't have all the answers yet, it's incredibly empowering to realize that we might have this untapped potential within us to work with energy in such profound ways.
And I think ultimately that's the message the video is trying to convey. It's like to empower us to explore our own energy, experiment with different techniques, and just discover what's possible.
This deep dive has been an incredible journey of exploration.
I'm glad.
It's made me question my assumptions about reality, consider new possibilities, and I definitely feel like a desire to learn more.
That's great.
And experiment with some of these techniques myself.
That's awesome. I encourage you to do so.
Well, this has been an absolutely fascinating deep dive. Thank you so much for guiding us through this whole exploration.
You're welcome.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to check out the show notes.
Yeah, definitely.
For links to the original video and other resources related to energy manipulation. And most importantly, start experimenting.
Yeah, give it a try.
See what happens when you bring your awareness to your energy, cultivate those positive emotions, and explore the incredible potential that might just lie within you.
That journey of self-discovery and exploration, it's never ending. And who knows? You might just find that reality is a lot more malleable than you ever imagined.
That's all for this episode of The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep expanding your awareness. And remember, the power to shape your reality might just lie within you.